I arrive in Guatemala on the Day of the Dead, November 1st. I'm curious about it. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm curious about this holiday, so I go to the cemetery to see what's happening. What I find is quite interesting. The atmosphere is like a party. There are people everywhere. Families are sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors. They clean the graves and add fresh flowers. I walk through the cemetery and admire the beauty of all the colorful flowers. There's also color in the sky because many kids are flying kites. Some families are having a picnic next to the graves. They eat, drink, and chat together. People laugh and smile. In the United States, cemeteries are always somber. We certainly never have festivals or parties next to graves. We don't laugh or play music or fly kites in cemeteries either. I find that I prefer the Guatemalan approach. I like the way they remember and celebrate those who have passed away. I like that they acknowledge death instead of denying it the way Americans do. I like that there is life as well as death in their cemeteries. Guatemalans call it the Day of the Dead, but it is also a day to appreciate life. What about now, Tatiana? Could you hear it better?
It was rather clear.
Okay, very well. So let's go and try. I will try to interpret it. I will interpret it sentence by sentence and to make sure that you understand every word. If you hear any words that are unknown to you, not clear, please ask. So I arrive in Guatemala on the Day of the Dead, November 1st. The author who wrote this article comes to Guatemala on a holiday, the Day of the Dead, which happens to be on November 1st. Is that understood?
Yeah. Yes, we
Okay.
understood.
I'm curious about this holiday. Curious meaning
He wants to learn more about
yeah,
this
he
holiday.
he wants to know more about it. Um, so I go to this cemetery where dead people are buried.
Graveyard.
A graveyard, correct. So I go to the cemetery to see what is happening. What is happening? Meaning, what's going on there?
What is going on?
How people celebrate this holiday. What I find is quite interesting. The atmosphere is like a party. Is that understood?
Yeah.
Yes, I understood.
There are people everywhere. Families are sitting around the graves. Graves are places where dead people lay in the ground, right?
Great.
Yeah. Um, so families are sitting around the graves of their dead ancestors. Do you understand the word ancestors?
Yeah, we do.
Good.
Ancestors? What does the
Ancestors
word
mean
mean?
somebody from your family who lived before you, either your great
Yeah,
grandfather
I
or great
understand.
grandmother who lived before
Hmm.
you but now they're dead. They're ancestors. Okay. So they clean the graves and add fresh flowers. So they add flowers to the grave. Okay. I walk
Hmm.
through the cemetery and admire the beauty of all the colorful flowers. So in other words, the author goes goes through the cemetery and he sees all these beautiful flowers and he says, "Wow, that's beautiful." That's basically what he's saying. There's also color in the sky because many kids are flying
Mm.
kites. Do you know what kites mean?
Yeah.
Anybody who doesn't know what kites mean? Anybody? Natalia, do you understand the word
I
kites?
get it.
Yeah?
I have
Okay.
already said.
Okay, good. Um, some families are having a picnic next to the graves. Do you understand what to have a picnic means?
Yes.
Okay, so it's sitting next to the graves, eat and drink while you're next to it, right? They eat, drink, and chat together. Do you understand what chatting is?
Talk.
Yeah,
Talk
they talk.
to each other.
People laugh and smile. In the United States, cemeteries are always somber. So somber means sad places. Somber means not a place where you can laugh, eat, drink, fly kites, nothing like that. Play music. Somber means strict, sad place. Always quiet.
Mhm.
Somber. S O
S-O.
M B E R. SOMBER. We certainly never have festivals or parties next to graves. We certainly never have festivals or parties next to graves. In other words, that in the United States, nobody ever parties in the cemeteries. We don't laugh or play music or fly kites in cemeteries either. I find that I prefer the Guatemalan approach. I find that I prefer the Guatemalan approach. So the author is trying to tell us that to him, the Guatemalan way to celebrate is closer than the American way. Is that understood?
We
American
understood.
approach.
Approach.
Approach me.
American approach.
Approach means literally
To
to
be
get
closer.
closer, exactly, or to look at anything. The way to look at the subject. Um,
But sometimes we use approach in another meaning, an approach to something.
right. For instance,
No?
rock
Yes.
climbers or mountaineers approach the mountain before they can
And
climb it.
can the word approach be used in the meaning of the idea of something, the approach to something?
Yeah, the way to
For
look.
example, the scientific approach, the way they
Yeah,
look at something. Yeah.
exactly. That's the
And
way
this,
it's used
and
here.
yes, and I meant the approach to the holiday, the idea of the holiday, the American idea
The
of the
idea they
holiday.
look at it,
Yeah.
the way they take it. They don't take it as a sad thing like Americans do. They actually that's the excuse for them to go and party. That's their approach in this case.
And I meant,
Very well. I like the way they remember and celebrate those who have passed away. To pass away is another word to say die. So the author likes the way Guatemalans remember and celebrate those who have passed away or died. Same thing. I like that they acknowledge death. Can you hear me, girls? Because it got really quiet right now.
yeah, we hear
Okay.
you.
I like that they acknowledge death. Acknowledge. Another way to say recognize. I like that they acknowledge death instead of denying it the way Americans do. Deny is to say no to something or do not accept it